Ah. And we're live. I I had a preview starting. I forgot to hit the live button. So I had a preview of music playing in the starting thing, but now we're just cold open. A live start. Here we are. We're live and alive. Howdy, howdy. Still having problems with my encoder, but we'll get there. There's supposed to be a live chat chat box. There's supposed to be a literal, like, a feed of the chat. And it's gone. It ceased to exist before it even began. Y'all like the new SPTV logo? It's pretty hardcore. Let me just make that a little bigger for y'all, so you can see. This was made by Linda. Thank you, Linda. Yeah. Absolutely metal. I wish I had like a cool transition to accompany it, but I think I'll just keep it. I'll just keep it on the lives there. Planning on watching The Gang on Poe tonight. What does that mean? The Gang? Glycol leak. The ship is fixed. Yeah, I had like a bunch of stuff set up, and then right at the last minute, the encoder broke. It broke. Relative term. The encoder just was like, actually, your YouTube channel doesn't exist, so you're not gonna stream from there. And I was like, I swear it did exist. There was a part of me that was like, I have a YouTube channel, and I've gone live on it once or twice, so I thought it existed. But maybe my encoder's right. Maybe it just doesn't exist. I don't know. But how y'all doing? How y'all doing today? Poe? Is Poe... Am I supposed to know who Poe is? Poe... Ian rules Earth and several other small planets. They don't know that yet. They don't understand. I mean, since I found the Onyx Blade, power was gifted to me beyond all human comprehension. Yada, yada, yada. Same old story. I now own a small solar system. It's not a big deal, but it's kind of like a little known secret. But thanks for spoiling the surprise, Glycol Leak. I suppose. We got some Twitter beefing to do today. Twitter beefing, y'all. Twitter beefing. That's what I'm here for. Ugh. The beef on Twitter. That's all I'm good for these days. Let me let down the main, because it's going to be hard to lay back. Believe it or not, it's a struggle. She's been unleashed. All right, what else we got? All right, what else we got today? Oh, we're gonna... Oh! Oh my God! Holy shit, y'all. Okay, we're checking this out. Okay, I had all three of these pulled up. Oh wait, no. I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. Whoops. Okay, I'm dumb. I'm so dumb. I just started clicking and refreshing, and every single one of these channels was like blocked, blocked, blocked. I switched accounts. Let's get them back, huh? There we go. There we go. All right, so let's just hop into it, honestly. Great YouTube channel, retired LE officer, very interested in Scientology. He was never in and adds so much to the discussions. Okay. Poe on the go. Never heard of him. All right, y'all. So, we're going to talk about some hate. Because don't we just hate hate? Isn't that just the worst? We're going to talk about some Twitter trolls that Scientology pays and endorses. Pretty juicy stuff. This is a hate monitor. I wonder if I'll get blocked midstream. I doubt it. I mean, these guys are so narcissistic. It's crazy. So hate monitor I love because it just monitors, it just publishes hate. That's all it does. So like the fact that it's monitoring hate to kind of like fire with fire. I mean, Scientology as an organization loves to create its own enemies where none existed. You know, so it's I love going through these because they call out people. They try to use some kind of like bizarre made up clout, essentially. You know, you pay for Twitter Blue and suddenly you're you have a voice, which is I think a joke. And Clearwater Chad is usually a guest there, Ian, along with Apostate Alex and Doug Scott Kramer. I don't know who those other people are. I know Alex, Apostate Alex, and I we talked earlier this week on his channel about superpower. That was pretty cool. We talked also with Catherine Olson, who was an ex-Yorg member. It's a nice little chat. All right, what do they got? What do they got? So what I love about the stance here, and this is something they've been doing since since the Stand League launched. Actually, they really never did this beforehand, but I mean, I guess you could say in '93 they did this when Scientology was trying to get its tax exempt status back. They were trying to get it back after they lost it because of Operation Freakout. I think that was it. They had spies in government agencies, and the Church of Scientology was raided, and they found government documents, fake access cards, or real access cards, but they were forged access cards. And the government didn't like that, so they said, you know what, we're going to take your tax exempt status away. And Scientologists, being in their own bubble, were like, oh, how dare you? We want it back. This is religious discrimination. And they marched to the streets, and then nothing happened. And then David Miscavige made a lot of threats and a lot of harassment and manipulation of the individual IRS members, like the people who worked there, threatened their families and so on. This led to them this was like a fantastic victory for them because it ended up getting them tax exempt status back. And so now they have money to burn. Didn't really help them, if you ask me, because they are still a dying cult. But Snow White, yeah. Operation Freakout was when they framed Paulette Cooper for terroristic threats by forging her, They put bomb. They were like forging her, using her letterhead to forge bomb threats under her name, and the only reason they didn't get away with it is because when they were raided, they found evidence that they did this in the Church of Scientology. They like found her letterhead and found like notes that said, make sure you do this. It's crazy shit. So now what they do is they have these Twitter accounts, right? We got Hate Monitor. We got, that's the main one. We got the Expose Network. They got these little bots like Quentin, who loves to hype Tom Cruise, and he's a big action movie buff, Grant Cardone fan. And he likes to go to bat for. He's also followed by. He's a Twitter bot because he's followed by all of these Twitter hate groups. But it's really interesting to see how much effort that they put into making this content. So I think we're just going to look at it a little bit. Now we're going to look at some other crimes done by Scientology. And then whatever the hell we want to. See, they do these like aggressive, they got Yashar on here. Probably Tampa Brad. Tampa Brad's a nobody at this point. I think they told him to stop, and he just, he was like, yes, daddy. Because he hasn't been popping off at all. Today is day 41 of Leia Mini blocking Stand Monitor for simply displaying videos of her own words. Now, what's funny is that Hate Monitor will block literally anyone who tries to talk shit about them. You see how awful their interaction is? Like, they do this every day. Every dollar that you give to Scientology goes to this and this alone. I mean, they have enough money to pay for Twitter Blue for the next fucking God knows how long, but it's actually adorable. They attack Tracy McManus, who is a journalist. She was never even a Scientologist. She just gets paid to write, like, to do journalism on Scientology because it's a massive problem in the area. Yeah, they do the stamp, the bigot stamp. That's right. I forgot what I was saying. Ooh, LRH in the chat. Happy birthday, big dog. It's a little late on that, but hope they got you some ice cream cake, some Carvel up there in Target 2. But yeah, so now they do this thing where anyone who attempts to talk about Scientology and their criminal past or the allegations, like they're never going to bring up an allegation or confront anything. I actually just suggested that one of these sites, like to each of these sites, that they just address a single allegation made to Scientology from a legitimate source, and they blocked me because they're cowards. And this is so now they use this word, this the B word, the bigot word. And it's actually incredibly ineffective. So they do it. This is funny. This is flag behind them. Their cult headquarters. One of them. They do a lot of preemptive damage control by calling people bigots and then never addressing the original question. If you ever see one of these posts, an easy way to never see them again is to just comment, would you care to address the human trafficking allegations? And then they just disappear because they block you, because they're not authorized to actually engage in discourse. Yeah. Oh shit. Is there an echo at all? Am I echoey? I think I have two. I'm going to check this. Testing, testing, testing. No, it sounds fine. Okie dokie smoky. So, and when you look at who they like, they also, because they're going to bat for religious bigotry, and they in an attempt to kind of garner sympathy from other religious groups or defenders, and if they can, sound like they're going to bat for other religions, which they give less than a fuck about in reality, then those religions will possibly come to their defense, which they rarely ever do, to be honest. This is very interesting. These ones are only targeting Yashar. Yashar follows me. But he also follows Stand League. How dare he? I Heart Paul. I love this like fake the really shitty Photoshop they do. And then they try to make Yashar look like a baby. Let's get into this, okay? Because look at this. Look what the dog doing. Look what they did to the farmer's dog. Pet food. They have made an enemy of a pet food maker just because they sponsored a game show on the Game Show Network that happened to have Leia Remini as a host. Farmer's dog is now an enemy and a suppressive group. That is how easy it is. Judd Apatow. Jimmy Kimmel said L. Ron Hubba Hubba and became an enemy of the Church of Scientology. That is how fucking easy it is. So soft, so soft. Hate Monitor is preoccupied with Lisa Remini. It's does your father become gay? I don't know. I haven't gotten to that season yet. We're not there yet. I'm really excited to see. They're preoccupied with short form content creation that gets them clicks by like clickbaiting Leia's face and like scandalous, scandalous points. The lowest effort memeage. It's fascinating how much effort they put into this without any results. You're absolutely right. I mean, oh my God. Gross. Put dog vomit on the fucking timeline. Yeah, they get such poor interaction, even though they pay for Twitter Blue. Each of these accounts pays for Twitter Blue. I think the only one that doesn't yet is the main Scientology page. But once Elon deletes, gets rid of legacy accounts, they'll have to start paying for it. I mean, if you have $8, you could be the Church of Scientology. If you know what I'm saying. It's literally that easy. But their interaction is so god awful. Hang with rape. Like, what is this? Did you do this on your iPhone? Oh, they're not allowed to have iPhones in the Sea Org. Do this on your BlackBerry Touch? And it's all the same. Oh, which fresh pet food service pays for hate? You see, the farmers, they just make enemies out of nothing.
Sponsoring religious bigotry. Is it Farmer's Dog?
and one guy who just gets on the mic and does a voiceover. One Sea Org member. Ooh, and then the dark black and white. Why isn't this account taken down? I have my theories, but it's a great question. It violates tons of guideline, terms of service guidelines. You know, on harassment, on encouraging harassment, on encouraging hatred and bullying. This is probably one of the most hateful. Like, despite, let me find this picture I took. Oh, actually, it's on my Twitter. Let's just switch over. Okay, we got some bangers on here. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like to gas myself up too often, but I think I've had some bangers on here. So check this out. So this is Hate Monitor. We monitor and expose discrimination and bigotry, whether by anti-religious extremists, anti-Scientologists, or irresponsible media who give their hate a platform. This anti-religious extremist part is almost irrelevant because it is exclusively anti-Scientologists. What I love about this is that they're so hateful. They end up looking and sounding like some other hate groups. And it just came across my feed. Somebody else was reacting to it, but I looked at. I feel like they're teaching some other groups valuable lessons on how to have a hate Twitter. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, interesting. Anti-White Watch. Documenting and compelling data on violence, hate, discrimination, and bigotry. There's that word again. Directed at ethnic Europeans. So this is a white supremacist activism page that looks almost identical. Spot the difference, y'all. I mean, one is white and one goes for another darker motif, but they do the same shit. Short form propaganda. I'm sorry. It's getting harder to spot the difference, y'all. Scientology seems to promote decisive and hateful thought processes. It's sad that they're behaving so immaturely and avoid the crimes that they have been caught doing and continue to do. Very disgusting. You're telling me, bud. I just wonder when they'll take a hint from like their lack of success. But I just thought that was an interesting piece. Here's some H3H3 stuff. Not a lot. I don't know how many people watch H3 the H3 podcast. They did an interview with Mark Elliott, who's a former member of Nexium. Well, he's kind of still a member of Nexium because he still promotes it. But regardless of how you feel about Ethan, everyone should watch that because it is a masterclass on trolling cult members. I wonder what Shelley Miscavige is doing right now. Is she idly gazing out a window or upon a laurel lush landscape, loving every moment, transcribing every J-O-T and spittle? Oh, on Hubbard. Oh, and jot and spittle. I see. It's hard to say. I mean, we know roughly where she is, but until we get the correct mindset about cults like this, until we can correct our sort of societal understanding of what a destructive cult is on the right track. I don't think the government or the authorities are going to care, especially when it's so easy for Scientology to just throw buckets of money at the local police station, and then they don't have to do anything.
Feel the need to die on this hill. Like, can't you, even if you think that Keith is innocent, like making that your thing to like campaign for like
he's in a cult.
convicted sex.
They're talking about how this guy Mark Elliott, who claims to have cured his Tourette's with Nexium, and Nexium, Keith Raniere took a lot. The founder Keith Raniere took a lot from L. Ron Hubbard, a lot, you know. So it's really interesting to watch his sort of descent into using that, and especially watching the vow is absolutely crazy. Hearing all the terminology that he stole from Scientology. But yeah, they're talking about how Mark Elliott, he didn't want to have a conversation about the actual allegations that Nexium was accused of and that Keith Raniere was accused of. He wanted simply to bring up the fact that if it's within the realm of possibility that he was, I mean, he doesn't have a very great understanding of the law at all, but he said, Mark Elliott, that is, he said, if it was even a shadow of a doubt or a shadow of a possibility that Keith Raniere, like the evidence against him was created or planted by the FBI, then the whole thing should be thrown out and he should just be released instantly. And these were allegations specifically regarding pictures of children that are, or of a child that they found on one of his cameras. Absolutely mental, and he didn't bring up any of the other allegations. He didn't want to confront any of the other, you know, crimes, and he played this very defensive, one-sided language. It is absolutely incredible. But I highly recommend y'all watch it.
That's why I thought it was interesting you asked him about the photos, and maybe he doesn't have any blackmail over him.
So Nexium is well known for holding dirt or blackmail over someone to make sure they stay in line.
Right.
And he's in a cult. I mean, it's the same way Scientologists will like follow people with cameras and fucking abuse them relentlessly. They're convinced they're right, and it's the whole world that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks, man.
Well, when you have titans like Alan Dershowitz on your side, you know you're
dubs all around. The Dersh, baby.
Yeah, Mark had this thing on the podcast where he wanted to show this this video of these attorneys, these like and ex-FBI people who were like going to bat for Keith and saying, "Oh, well, I've seen all the evidence. All the evidence is bad, and if this is what we think it is, it's, you know, an atrocity." And they fucking put up Alan Dershowitz, who like represented Jeffrey Epstein, as like a credible guy. Absolutely fucking bananas. Oh, whoops. See, that's what happened the first time, and I was like, "What? They blocked me that quickly." Let's go back to Expose Network. All right, let's see what the news is. It's unfortunate that the Tampa Bay Times has chosen to focus on negativity and division instead of highlighting the church's contributions towards creating a vibrant downtown. Some context. The Church of Scientology is the reason that downtown Clearwater is completely barren. I lived there for a few years, and I can totally attest. Absolutely barren. Hi from UK, Ian and all. Howdy. Little Dingleberry Dave, basically. So the Church of Scientology's willingness to help Clearwater implement the recommendations of the Urban Land Institute report is commendable, says the Church of Scientology. Church of Scientology says the Church of Scientology has done great works and commends itself for its hard work in suggesting change. It is unfortunate that the Tampa Bay Times has chosen to focus on negativity and division instead of highlighting the church's contributions toward creating a vibrant downtown. What's ironic is that the Church of Scientology, mainly David Miscavige, said, if you give me, he was trying to acquire the land, some land in Clearwater, and when the previous owner wanted to give it to the city, Church of Scientology tried to intervene, and they desperately needed this land for some reason. So David Miscavige said, hey, we will spend a shitload of money and rebuild all of downtown Clearwater, and we'll invite a bunch of people in. We'll make the storefronts all beautiful. We'll, make it more accessible or whatever, all on our dime, totally. And that's what I think this is referring to. But once they said, well, yeah, okay, but we're still going to keep the building. We don't want to budge. You can do that. You can help the city, and then maybe we'll think about it. But like we're gonna keep doing what we were going to do. And David Miscavige pulled out of the whole thing because he had no intention. It was a bribe. He had no intention of actually helping Clearwater at all. It's property for them. Those who attack Scientology with baseless accusations and emotional appeals often claim they are being silenced when confronted with the truth. This is a manipulative tactic designed to convince you to believe them without evidence. They say the same shit about themselves, though. They say that they're being silenced more so. They also don't address the claims at all. They just say baseless claims, baseless claims, baseless claims. I know they're not authorized to talk about any claims, but that's why they won't, is because this is the propaganda arm. Don't be so surprised if you see any of these about me at some point in the future. I actually got into some Twitter beef this morning, shortly before this, with some one of these stand shrills. We got another one, ironic name, which is a little bizarre. Freedom Media Ethics. It's kind of goofy as fuck. They pay for Twitter Blue. Oh, come to think of it, one of the reasons that they might also, my theory of why they're not, these hate websites aren't, or these hate pages aren't getting taken down, is Tom Cruise is going to do like a movie in space, and he's using SpaceX. SpaceX is owned by the guy who owns Twitter. So my theory is that like Elon Musk really desperately loves Tom Cruise, and he doesn't want to do anything to upset Tom Cruise. And blocking these absolutely fucking pathetic hate pages would be the straw that broke the camel's back. DM hates Mark Bunker being on the city council big time. Yeah, because Mark Bunker, they do their little playful dances with Scientology, but I really think you just got to cut through the shit and like push them to talk like normal people. Scientologists have the capacity to step outside their bubble, but once you push them to drop all the Scientology jargon to live on your side for at least a second, they either shatter and retreat, or they just have nothing to say. Nexium is not a pharmaceutical. Nexium is a sex trafficking cult, started by, it's spelled like NXIVM. It's like a cute little play on phonetic, Roman letters and shit. Lots of documentaries about it now. It's funny, one of the first times, even before the vow, one of the first times that Sarah Edmonton did a podcast about it, I was still in Scientology, and I was on the treadmill in the Fort Harrison Hotel. I think this is like almost at the start of my 5-month suffering. I just needed something to do that wasn't sitting in a hotel room because I wasn't allowed to leave the building. And so I went to the gym and the little exercise area that they have, and I was on the treadmill and I was on the Stairmaster, and I had nothing to do. There's nothing to listen to, so I was listening to crazy true crime stuff, and I listened to Sarah's one of her first things, and I was like, this is crazy, man. This guy took so much from L. Ron Hubbard. It's crazy. And like just some of the things that they were saying, like you can only say, well, it feels similar, but at least I'm not in a cult. You can only say that so much until it's like actually penetrates your brain, that you're probably doing something. You're probably doing something too similar to a cult to ignore. You know what I mean? See, it's all it is just easy recycled propaganda. They do this ripped page effect in like 90% of their shit. It's actually pretty mid. Let's define bigotry. Classic Scientology fashion. I live near where the cult started out in Albany, New York. Yeah, these guys are fucking crazy. But Scientology, mainly David Miscavige, learned from the lawyers. He took a lot of he got a lot of really disgusting legal counsel, and he reformed Scientology to be the most, like, the safest, the legally, how do I describe this? Like the safest abuse factory you could have. Like, legally, you are not allowed to talk about or share anything that happens to you, and you have to sign all this shit. Sign all the non-disclosure agreements and the religious arbitration agreements. Like, before you start every single course, you have to sign a new agreement. I was signing that when I was a child, as if I knew what they meant. I was barely legally literate in my later teens, even when I was 18 and 19, like, signing these things. I read it for the first time. The first time I was ever like, maybe I should actually read what this says. I think I was like 20, 21. Because you're not going to, if you don't sign it, you don't do the next course. You don't do the next series. If you don't sign it, you're actually getting a security check. You're getting interrogated. It's held over you. Kathy, who is this? Kathy Feshbach. Well, bizarrely high amount of Twitter followers for somebody who is relatively unknown. Kathy Feshbach is the reason that Dr. B, Karen, and Eric Berg are such high donators to Scientology. She is one of my mom's best friends in the cult, because she is what's called an FSM. So she does a lot of field staff members. She makes a commission off of everyone she gets into Scientology. So she actually She actually does a lot of fundraising, like in families and stuff. But my mom has her on speed dial, and she has my mom on speed dial for sure. You know, they go, my mom will, or Kathy will show up to my parents' house with like bouquets of flowers, and like every time my mom goes to flag, they'll somehow magically meet up and get dinner and talk about. She's a shill. She's who's used to her lifestyle. Oh my, I'm knocking this thing out. Let me see if I could change the zoom. There we go. I'm too tall for the desk and the chair, so every time I put my leg up, it like shakes the whole desk and my camera slowly drifts to the side. Do Scientologists have better penmanship because of all the writing from word clearing, etc.? No, I wouldn't say that. I'd say it depends. Scientologists have their own dictionaries, believe it or not. So, you know, maybe a slightly beefed basic vocabulary, depending on how much they read. If you are you know, a dedicated Scientologist, you're really only reading L. Ron Hubbard. You don't really have to read anything else, especially if you're a Sea Org. If you're like a young second generation staff member or Sea Org member, very few of them that I knew read for pleasure, because reading is forced on you. So once you kind of get into the whole, and L. Ron Hubbard is like the only thing you're not going to get in trouble for reading. Like, you're not wasting time if you're watching something made by Scientology, or if you're watching something, or you're reading something, you know, written by LRH. It's not considered a waste of time. Like, literally every other thing in your entire life is considered. If you're not, like, if your parents are Scientologists, they're probably very hard on you for doing things that aren't, you know, being on staff or contributing to making enough money to pay for your next bridge step, or donating to get your lifetime membership or whatever. You know, I remember there was a time when I was on staff in Atlanta where I was just trying to, there was literally never anyone there, but you couldn't be idle. Being idle was like a high crime or whatever. So I would just pretend like, sometimes I would pretend like I was busy finding, you know, there was a checklist of Scientology TV episodes to watch, because none of it's live. It's all just pre-recorded propaganda, but they had every single staff member watch it as a priority. They made every single staff member all over the world watch the episodes of Scientology TV to beef up the numbers. So at a certain point, when nobody would watch it because it got very boring and repetitive, so people wouldn't watch it. People, you know, the staff members had spent so much time at the org that they couldn't do it when they got home, or they had other shit they wanted to do when they got home. So very few people actually finished all the episodes. So they'd just be watching them on their phones while on staff. And I definitely did that because it was easier than trying to force people who didn't want to be in a cult to join Scientology, or to like talk about to get them to come into an event, because event call-in was a nightmare. No one ever wanted to come to the events. There was like a few handfuls of people who came to every event from the pool of Atlanta public. So fucking pathetic. But I still thought that I was wasting time. I still like hated that I wasn't. I was still brainwashed. You know, I still had this idea that, you know, that I was the reason that Atlanta was empty. You got checked out on those films? No. You didn't need to get checked out on Scientology TV because there was so much and there were so few Scientologists, period, let alone available to check you out. They give you a pass on that at least. So we'll see how quick it takes. Try the free and online the technology of study course to improve your study results. I was raised with study tech, and it has forever damaged the way I view my education. Don't give this to your kids. It does not help. Period. Ugh, do not give your kids Scientology. Oh, don't even get me started on CCHR. We're going to CCHR soon because I got some tea on them that I didn't know beforehand. It amazes me how many never ends can be so interested and supportive. I mean, it's salacious, you know. They're interested. It's like some people are interested in Star Wars, some people are interested in painting minifigures, and some people are interested in peering through the window of human trafficking cults. I live in Kennesaw. I would have come down to hang out. You do not want to come to a Church of Scientology and hang out. I was brainwashed. I would have tried to get you into Scientology at the time. Did I get to watch any of the tech films? Yeah. I was a class 5, baby. I saw most of them. The only film I didn't see was the solo film. Oh, no, I think... Did I see the solo film? I think I might have seen... I think I did eventually see the solo film. I believe. It's just been a while. The tech films, honestly, if anyone can get me the tech films, if anyone could get me the tech films, I will give you whatever you want. I will do anything for you. You will be on my indebted list. I will owe you one truly, because they're just so, oh my God. I would make a whole series. We would have a watch party for every single one. They're long too. So I'd be here all day. You'd have me all day. I'd make clips for each and every one of them. I'd protect you too. Trust me. I would do everything in my power to protect you. Because God, those films are absolutely bananas. Those tech films would be amazing on YouTube. I would need people to upload. I would not only be uploading them, but have people to upload, upload them constantly and spread them around and get them into the deep, dark corners of the internet just so that they never disappear. Because Man the Unfathomable alone would be a disgusting realization for people to actually see. What Scientologists are willing to show children, and what they consider to be palatable propaganda. I don't know how to really describe it. Like, for example, in Man the Unfathomable, which is narrated by L. Ron Hubbard, there are images of brain surgery, decapitation, a psychiatrist drills into a little girl's head and then vaporizes her, in a way to like create. It's almost like Nazi propaganda. It's almost like when the Nazis used to make like films. It's almost just like a modern version of that, and it's just so backwards and fucked up. Like and I was watching that as a kid because there was nothing else to do. So there was film rooms, and I just press. It's a public film. You can go into a Church of Scientology and say, "Hey, I heard about this film called Man the Unfathomable. Can I watch it?" And they'll bring you. It's a public film, so they'll bring you into the film room, and you can watch it. It is an hour long, an hour plus. But let me tell you. Whew, it is it's rough. So just prepare yourself. Try not to laugh too hard because they'll tell you to leave. The white whale of Scientology is the tech films, basically. I really want to see the tone scale film on YouTube. Yeah, the new one. Are you were you well, I guess you don't have to answer that, but I guess you need to do some training to, at least on your levels, you get to watch the tone scale film. I don't know how many people were able to watch it before, but now on Golden Age of Tech Phase 2, you can only watch the tech films on a check sheet. Unless you're like tight with the tech the technical secretary, or you are the tech sec, in which case you have to watch the films. I never saw the old tone scale film, but they put in a lot of weird production value for the new ones. So like they have costumes and set pieces, and it's very grim. It's very bizarre. Like it almost has like a uniquely cult style in like how it sees the world around it, and like the hue around certain scenes, and like how they view they put this like analogous these analogous sort of set pieces to represent where you are as far as like your state in society and your state on the bridge or whatever, and your state in Scientology. And it's very grim and it's supposed to be very visually provocative and upset you. Yeah, I mean, it would do a lot of work against Scientology and for the people to release those films. I've watched them all too. I was a Chief Academy soup. Exactly. What's funny is when I was on when I was training to be an auditor at Flag, we were constantly watching the e-meter reads film. So like how to when you're using an e-meter on somebody, you're looking for specific motions of that needle. And the e-meter reads film tells you exactly what motions to look out for, and what they mean, and except nobody ever, no matter how many dozens of times we watched that, I mean almost 100 times I've seen that film, no matter how many times you watch that film, or anybody at Flag watches that film, they were always so confused as to what a floating needle was. And the floating needle is like one of the most important reads on an e-meter because it tells you when the session is done. It tells you when the process is done. So when like the single thing that you're doing is complete. So arguments, but there was no like verbal definition. And even if you get what you see in the film, you're still going to have somebody over your shoulder debating it. You know what I mean? Very bizarre, but like nobody at Flag knows what an FN is. It's hilarious. Like it was actually a joke. It's a very common joke that you get through the academy, which is one of the course rooms for all the auditor training. You get through the academy, and that academy FNs are different than internship FNs, because when you finish the academy, then you go up to the internship where everyone's actually auditing, and it's very common for you to get up to the internship and be the absolutely terrible at guessing and calling reads and being able to point them out and telling you what they are, because in the academy they want the statistic of completed courses and targets met. So they'll just push your ass through and say, oh, yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. I can't tell you how many times people came up from the academy to be like, that's not an FN, or that's not an instant read, or that's not a long fall, or that's not a theta bop, or that's not a whatever the read is. It was so it was funny. I mean, I have so many people who could tell the same exact thing. Just found out you were live. Good to see you. Good to see you. I can't see you, but I see that you're there, so. Ian, did you or your family friends smoke, and is the habit still popular today for members? A 20-pack costs $25 in Australia, so I can't imagine a poor Sea Org member that would be chain smoking these days. They do. They still do. Maybe they switched to like disposable vapes or something. I know that my dad doesn't, he's, because of his whole like health buff thing, he's, he thinks that he's the reason that not too many Scientologists are smoking these days, but they still are. I mean, there's just less Scientologists, whether they die from cancer because of the smoking or, because of, I smoked a lot, and I've been smoking cigarettes, I think, since I was like 13. Give or take some long breaks. I haven't been. I pick up a pack every now and then. It's something I've dealt with. But and my sister also smoked. My brother was always on staff and always sort of like kind of a dweeb, I guess. So he like didn't have a lot of he didn't really have like a bad bone in his body. You know what I mean? He didn't really have anything to prove. He was very spoiled. He was like the good child who wanted to be, a grown-up Scientologist since he was a very young child. So, he never touched the stuff. He barely drinks. Never done a single bad thing to his name, that he couldn't immediately get out of. He's very, very bizarre. But Dr. Berg used to smoke weed in the past when he was younger, and now he says it's the worst thing anyone could ever do to their spirituality. So, smoking weed is a different story, though. Than what you were asking. But as far as cigarettes go, they do make, they don't care unless it's like affecting your physical health, to the point where you're gonna die or you're gonna be less productive by smoking, then they'll stop you. But it really doesn't matter. Sea orgs will roll their own cheapest tobacco sold by the pound. A lot of them do, because it's cheaper and they don't get paid a lot. I have seen that. Floating needle equals conjuring a Patronus. If only there was a single cool thing that ever happened in Scientology that I could that I could use to like confirm all the cool shit I had heard would happen. Like when I go OT, I'm like, what's the point? Like, are you just going to be normal? But like, can you leave your body at will? Can you like move things with your mind? And, it's all just like, no. So it was just like, and I would like quiz people who did superpower just out of curiosity. I was like, so right now, what is the saline content of your blood? 10 seconds, go. And they would just be stunned. It's like, because nothing actually works. You get caught off guard. you know, with questions like that. Apostate Amanda, welcome. All right, let's see. What else do we got? What else do we got? Okay, so this guy, let me find something first before I... Oh, interesting. I was looking at this guy who is another stand shill. This guy named Thaddeus Reeves. He also goes by Tad. He's a father of 3, mountain biker, Maine native living in Northwest Georgia. So he's a second-generation Scientologist who his kids. I mean, he's obviously like a rich kid. He pays for Twitter Blue. Yeah, he pays for Twitter Blue. It's kind of pathetic. So this bizarre man baby, devilish White Walker eyes. First of all, he goes to bat a lot. He has, let's check out his service completions. None under Thaddeus, but all under Tad. So he's clear and he's done his OT preps as much as we know. That's about it. Highly doubt he's trained at all. But he, you know, he goes to bat against Leia Remini, and he likes to think of himself as the Scientology dad. And he also writes for Scientologyparent.com, which is this just like really bizarre and macabre how to abuse your kid's light. It's like gentle abuse. Yeah, how to abuse your kids with Scientology.org. I don't know why none of these pictures are loading, but something tells me that's not a bad thing. Raising children, rewards and penalties. Diane Norgard. Diane Norgard works at the new Mace Kingsley in Clearwater, right next to Clearwater Academy. The same Mace Kingsley that used to cover up the sexual and physical abuse of its kids. Let's see how to raise children by this woman. I'm not going to stick on this. If you believe this human being is a sane human being, he will act sane, not because you coax him to, but because you are just validating this. This is his reality then. The sanity, you're telling him this is a reality, his sanity. That means absolutely nothing, because you are thinking in terms of spiritual gobbledygook. Let's see. Where is the... Now it's pretty steady nerves. A lot of outdoors to do this. The only reason I'm using this to demonstrate is that that's where you... I'm just using it to demonstrate that what you validate in a child. The only reason I'm using it is just to demonstrate there. what you validate in a child. Okay. I've seen Indians work this, by the way, Blackfeet. It's the most fascinating thing you ever saw. I don't even understand. Anyway, this kind of parenting is very hostile and very matter of fact. These kids will grow up with a lot of dependency issues. Hey, Diane, can you give me some advice on penalties? We are doing well with lots of love and praise for good behavior for holding ourselves accountable, but have not come up with a way to implement penalties. They really want to punish their kids more. They all seem too harsh, and therefore we don't do them. This means our little ones often don't see the importance of not doing the bad things. Yeah, you see, even for her, even for that random person, you know, the average Scientology family is an SP factory of at least one or two. So you'll get, you have a lot of kids, and you raise your kids sometimes with multiple partners. So there's a lot of like step kids and step fathers and step daughters and step, half brothers and things like that. But there's a lot of, some of these kids are more gravitated towards Scientology, or maybe like pay more attention, or these kids become the favorites and the most upheld because they relate more to the parents. Because the way you parent a Scientologist children is you just make them like you. You just make them. You don't want them to like the things you don't like. I mean, this is parenting for a lot of people, but you're using a cult as the via. You're using the cult as the relative system of convergence, you could say. You come together because of Scientology, and Scientology is the only reason you are together. So, I mean, this is like the first lie that, I guess, founds the instability in families, because now the only reason you're in the family is because you like Scientology, and kids will pick up on this early. So they sort of push themselves to not break any of the rules and to kind of isolate themselves. And, I was isolated from both my sister and my brother just because we were in like different categories of standing with Scientology, even as kids, just by not understanding it. And my parents would be like, "Oh, you don't understand it? Well, go understand it, or you'll be punished." And it was just a very, every bad thing in my life was my fault, but could possibly just go away if I promised to do Scientology, or to go to a church, or to, do a new course, or to X, Y, and Z. Very manipulative stuff. So his kids are really not going to appreciate this growing up. But he's definitely gives me like rich kid vibes, wealthy parents. Yeah, and run big web systems, whatever the fuck that means. Quentin is just a mindless bot. I think Quentin is just another Sea Org member, to be honest. One of the few Sea Org members allowed to use Twitter. All right. Close some of these because I don't want to go back to that. Transactional and conditional love, prime breeding ground for golden child and scapegoats. Absolutely. I mean, my mom had like automatic reporting. She has like folders of on her computer of like things that she's like reports by our names. So like there were reports on me, and there were reports on my sister Ollie, and reports on my brother. Probably not as many reports on my brother. Reports on his situation. My parents protected him the most. But they're subcategorized on her fucking home computer. I have some actually on my computer. Some old ones. My sister was like the most unstable. So, as relatively, I mean, she was raised in a cult, so she's not. She was the most unstable in regards to the three of us. So she was. We had our different eras of like, well, at least I'm not doing what she's doing, so I'll get treated a little better, you know, or at least I'm not doing what he's doing, or you know. But I win. I won the game because I don't think anyone can hate their kids. I don't think they could hate any one of their kids more than they probably hate me. But that's their own fault. I mean, they decided to push me into getting into Scientology. They decided to force me into this group, traffic me into the group as well. You know, immerse me into something that was clearly not workable. So they should be only blaming themselves. So CCHR is the Citizens Commission for Human Rights, is what they call themselves. They don't actually care about human rights. They just, this is solely in order to, they're the propaganda arm of Scientology that goes after all of psychiatry. I mean, you can tell they're not very big on Twitter. They're not verified. They only have, 5,500 followers. I'm sure many of these are Scientologists because this organization is so incredibly pseudoscientific and unfounded in the sense of what they actually do. They do a lot of. Oh, here we go. CCHR int. Okay, so that's a little bit of double. This is still an extremely small percentage. They pay for Twitter Blue. Oh, Legacy. Well, good for them. That'll also disappear. They were behind a lot of the misinformation about psychiatry and psychiatric drugs in the past. They take individual instances of let's say misuse of psychiatry from the past, or incidental, anecdotal side effects of antidepressants, and they kind of just broadly paint that because L. Ron Hubbard said that. Well, let's see. This is just Wikipedia. And I remember reading this, so this is true. But L. Ron Hubbard has written, there is not one institutional psychiatrist alive who could not be arraigned or convicted of extortion, mayhem, and murder. And so this is what is kind of drilled into your brain as a child. And they use, what's it called? They use your willingness to help, especially. Like if you feel like a good person, you want to do good things, this is the kind of shit they're going to put you on because they think that it's going to make a difference. Chili bones. Oh. Is your father a psychopath? I'd say more of a covert narcissist. I think he has feelings, selective feelings. I guess maybe sociopath would be like a better answer because he just like walk right over anything that doesn't involve him. I think his selective empathy is a little weird. Yeah, just a very deep-seated covert narcissism would be a better way. So Jan Eastgate, who was the president of CCHR and the winner of the Church of Scientology Freedom Medal, which is that big gold thing that that you saw Tom Cruise have in those pictures, has been implicated in covering up the sexual abuse of an 11-year-old girl in the Australian branch of the church. Eastgate was the head of Australian CCHR at the time, and the girl was abused by her Scientologist stepfather between the ages of 8 and 11 years old. Eastgate, who denied the allegations, labeling them egregiously false, was arrested on 30th of March 2011 on charges of perverting the course of justice, but then later released on constitutional bail. So, The Voice, Village Voice, talked about this. This is reported by Tony Ortega, which all you have to do is say certain names, and Scientologists immediately just delete validity from their brains. But well, the CCHR leader may have a harder time with that line now that the leader has been arrested for trampling all over the city's rights of a little girl who was the victim of sexual abuse. Both of the little girl's parents were Scientologists. The stepfather's name was Robert Kerr. Last year, Rayner, now grown up, made her public claims about the abuse and cover-up on the national Australian television program Lateline. The church got involved, and they sent Jan Eastgate over to drill me on what to say to the police and what to say to the docs. Rayner told the program about what Jan said. Just say no. Don't say yes, because otherwise you'll be taken away from your parents and you'll never see your family again, Rayner said about Eastgate's coaching. This is very, very common in Scientology. That's why there are actual pedophiles who are completely have free reign in Clearwater, especially. Clearwater seems to be the one-stop shop for Scientology pedophiles who have like extensive histories in child abuse. Scientology doesn't see, pedophiles as being. They think that Scientology can somehow cure this activity. It's somehow just some like temporary, fleeting thing that they can wipe from your past. So they believe that they're not a big deal as long as they're contributing to Scientology. But many Scientology children, as well as non-Scientology children, are abused by pedophile Scientologists because they just refuse to let the authorities know that these predators are around and still contributing to the problem. So this woman's a piece of human garbage. Here's an open letter to this dude, to the Scientology dad, to Thaddeus Reeves. Thaddeus, What a soft name. Dear, this is posted by Stefani Hutchinson on the Aslan's, I think that's Aslan. I think Aslan's blog. Confront and Shatter, exposing the truth about Scientology. Dear Thad, after Leah Remini included your Twitter handle on her list of Scientology accounts, you found it necessary to respond with offended indignation. My mouth moves pretty fast, so I'm not. I'll be stumbling. Are your cult members even allowed on social media? Of course we are. I mean, LR literally just encouraged everyone. Oh, Leah Remini. Everyone to come be outraged at how normal I am and report me to Twitter for harassing them because I took my daughter to a gymnastics meet. There's nothing normal about Scientology. So I'm putting that out there. I'm putting out there this dude's on some other shit. Like, behind the scenes, No one's this confident and this relaxed and this curated without something behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Especially if they're in Scientology. Good Lord. She literally checked the words. No, she didn't. She literally checked the words, said my account is controlled by the leader of the church. Lie. And that I am evil and bullying and is encouraging her to encouraging her botnet to report me. Seriously? Dog, literally. And he will spread aggressive hate about anyone and everything from these fucking dog shit hate Twitter accounts. No offense to LRH, but that ain't right. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't quite right. What's that meme? Please play Victimhood some more, honestly. But, like, he's still working off of all the propaganda from David Miscavige. The thing is, like, David Miscavige and his lies and his like direct influence on the propaganda that's made from Scientology about these people is why this dude feels like he has the balls to have a discussion when he doesn't even have the facts. He doesn't have like a proper foundation or he doesn't know actually, or he doesn't actually care about anyone who's been abused by Scientology, because to him, if something bad happens to you, it's not only your fault, but if you don't take responsibility for what you did, that's also your fault for leaving and telling people that bad things happen. He has such a blind confidence in this cult that has brainwashed him and in the propaganda that they produce, that he doesn't even have the right or the foundation to say any of the things that he's saying, which is why I'm not afraid of this man-child. And I say man-child, this guy's probably almost 40 by now, but he has baby brain and should not have reproduced. His kids will leave Scientology. I believe that, at least probably 2 of the 3 of them, to be more of a accurate assessment. You know, your favorite will probably hang on. And this does bring up a couple good explanations as to like rubbing it in your face. Like, but why can't you talk about the truth? Or why can't you talk about this allegation that you have been refusing to talk about? And then to them, it's just going to ping right off their chromium domium. You know what I'm saying? They just got ricochet brain. Like, it's not going to get picked up because they already have their predisposed understanding that all criticism comes from crimes or whatever. But then Scientologists can have critical thoughts of people who dislike Scientology, and that same logic doesn't apply to them. There is no great crime that they have to investigate about themselves to be some wholly neutral entity. Like, when you look at what Scientology proposes from both sides, like having been raised in it, like really just trying to put in deep thought about like what is the point, it literally is supposed to strip you of everything that you consider as intellectually unique or creative. You are supposed to be a beingless, personalityless, completely neutral point of perception at the very end. And yet somehow there's some idea that like you're going to become like the most creative you, or it's like, are you a human being who has creative tendencies, or are you some like, you know, endlessly omnipotent perspective point called a thetan, who the only reason you are weird or have all these, you know, quirks or situations or bizarre, you know, viewpoints is because you've added mass to your, you know, spiritual baggage. You know what I mean? Like, what is it? Because even at the end at OT8, like I remember my my mom once telling me that like the OT levels don't strip away everything that's you. It just makes you more you. But then at the end of OT8, you realize you figure out that everything that all your past lives aren't yours. They are your body Thetans' past lives. So you have no fucking idea who you are. So the contradictions are so like nebulous. Like I guess I like to say that I'm lucky I have the memory that I have, because I think the only reason I can do this is because I just remember this stuff. You know, I'm not the only one who remembers. I'm just the only one who cares enough about my memory to like, and gets annoyed at the hypocrisy. It just bugs me. And I think it's just very pathetic that people like Scientologists will lie to my face and expect me to just forget that I know that they know that that's not true. Like my sister, the last thing she said to me was this whole huge like rant about how, oh, I'm actually toxic because I stood up for myself and I'm actually not a great guy. And what to me sounded like her saying, I've actually hated you for a long time, and this is my way of telling you that you're a piece of shit. Even though she pretended, I guess. So then that makes me think, okay, so she was pretending to actually be my sister and be my friend, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I left Scientology and talked shit about it, or, you know, I didn't even have to talk shit about Scientology. That's the best. That's the funniest part, is I didn't have to say anything bad about Scientology. I just had to say that Dr. Berg is a Scientologist, and to them, and to me, because I knew it was the same thing, to them, that is just such an egregious defamation. When you look at my original TikTok, what I said was, this man is a Scientologist, and he gives millions of dollars to Scientology. Just suppressive act I could have done to him, to Scientology. Well, what does that tell you about Scientology? Offend him as much as you want, he might come back. Oh, LRH? Yeah, I'll beat his ass then. I'll push his pussy ass down. As humans, we are wired to nullify wrongdoings of our parents and close family. Helps us survive when young. I wish I had that, because I remember it all. That should not excuse people of doing bad things, even if they are family. Exactly. When I was a child, I did say I wanted to be a robot when I grew up. Boy, do I have the cult for you. Yeah, the gaslighting is real. But what's funnier is, like, I just know also some of these people, especially my sister, I know I've like done more Scientology than them. And I was so committed to this idea, and I was like, all right, I'm on board. Just tell me what you need me to do. Tell me what you need me to read. And I remembered the policies, and I remembered what I was supposed to do. And I would just watch people break policy, and I would watch people fuck up, and I would watch people get into problems, and like the tech just wouldn't work. I knew how the public thought about Scientology, and I knew how we thought about Scientology, and I knew that it would only be bad to come forward as a Scientologist because of the lies spread. You know, you have this like sort of ever-present knowledge that the SPs are attacking you from every angle, and you're in a war that's just gonna, you know, that's just gonna last forever. And I'm like, dog, like dead ass. It's paranoia. It's like they're adept gaslighters, but it always backfires. It does always backfire. Constantly. This person also makes a good point. Your insistence there is no difference between the Church of Scientology and anyone else falls flat when at the same time the group denies any wrongdoing of any kind. denies or refuses to acknowledge completely. Like deflection, deflection, deflection. And you'll know that they're a Scientologist when instead of asking for proof or asking or like addressing the allegation of any capacity, they deflect to something else. Like I was talking to, I made a post about how the main Scientology page was like piggybacking off of like Holocaust memoriam posts and being like, this should never happen again. It's like, dog, your ass traffics people. You're still doing the shit that you're posting. Like, you know, they're not putting people in gas chambers, sure, but trafficking people against, you know, manipulating their will. It's like, especially children, and covering up predators, protecting predators, many of them, because there are so many. I think it's just so hard. I think they're just like, whoa, systemically, this is a little too hard for us. So instead of declaring them all, let's just like put them on a program and move on to the next thing. You know, you really can't have people be distracted. But like, you know, you can tell when they're Scientologists when instead of talking about it, they're just going to deflect. Like I made that post and then somebody commented, Colleen something commented. She was like, you know, the real bad guy is Tony Ortega. I'm like, you know, he supported people who ran the backpages.com or something. And I was like, that's not what I was talking about. You're deflecting. So you're very clearly a Scientologist who is not even interested in addressing the problem. Ian, off topic, but I was wondering what years you were at Flag OOT, and did you stay at the Clipper with the other OTs? I did stay at the Clipper. That was 2015, 2016, I think. I was at Flag for 11 months. My OOT MAA was a deputy. His name was Todd Pariani. He was my ethics officer, and his senior's name was Alex Davis. Now, Alex Davis is the biggest piece of shit known to humankind. This man is the most angry, hostile, like just the most aggro dude I've ever met in my entire life. This man needs serious psychological help. He needs to be restrained. He is just evil, that guy. Ideally, there's no such thing as SPs, but there is such a thing as one's civil and human rights to justice in 2023. Yeah, and Scientologists have the right to defend themselves, but discovery works both ways, which is why they stopped suing people, because they're actually doing bad stuff that they cannot open themselves up to. So they either don't sue or they do like non-disclosure agreements. Oh, hey, Ella Rach. That's funny. Yeah, I'm rocking that logo. I got some other logos. I have an intro for my video, an intro and an outro for my pre-recorded videos. So the next time I make a pre-recorded video, you'll see those there as well. So Stephanie goes on to explain that the hierarchy in Rome is embroiled in financial scandal and teachings of heresy that is threatening schism with our church, and actively protecting corrupt priests, bishops, and cardinals. Basically, you know, all the awful things that the church is doing, the Catholic Church is doing. The difference between you and me is that I can publicly say that my church is guilty of egregious wrongdoing and is in serious need of change. I can call out Pope Francis for causing division and, to use a Scientology term, squirreling our doctrine without fear that some bishop or cardinal will create a website filled with ugly accusations. There is no God in Scientology. There is no outside force that they're all sort of collectively rallying towards. L. Ron Hubbard is the prophet, essentially, of eternal truth. They're not going to use that word. They call him teacher, but like, he teaches what? He teaches the source of all knowledge, all correct knowledge. all correct knowledge about the soul and where we came from as spiritual beings, that's a prophet. That is a prophet. So, bullshit. I call absolute bullshit. And yeah, so you have like just a completely different structure. I love this. He just piggybacks here. Kate Shellnut. So important. As a journalist, we are in positions of power. We are the ones whose work can shape the cultural narrative. That means we have an additional burden of responsibility as we report. This dude, Thaddeus, says it's so important to recognize that power and responsibility. So many times, especially for poorly understood and or deliberately misrepresented groups like my own, he's talking about Scientology, the only power wielded is that more inflammatory headlines get more clicks. Inflammatory headlines get clicks. Period. Full stop. When your cult does things that are inflammatory and does bad things, and then people say, hey, don't do that, and they're like, you better not fucking tell anybody we did this. And they're like, well, I'm gonna tell somebody you did this. It's like, well, if you tell anyone we did this, we're gonna fucking roast your ass to all your family and friends. They say, well, fuck you then. I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna go tell people. It's like you're in a fucking children's sandbox. Bet your dad was a member of Wise Charter Group. Dog. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. We're going back. We're going back far. To the lawsuit, ladies and gentlemen. If you go to my video, my old video about my dad, like what it's like to work for him, I do talk about the lawsuit that he was in the middle of. God, there's some crazy shit on Twitter. Speaking of Citizens Commission on Human Rights, here's a CCHR employee spraying homeless people with water.
Spraying those people like that. That's so disrespectful.
Winter.
You should not be doing that. That is so disrespectful. Who do you work for? You could clean that up, but without spraying these people? That's inhumane. And you choose to have a shirt on that say human rights. What kind of human rights is that, spraying people with a water hose? That's disrespectful. You should apologize to them. Yeah, they can still pick it up, but how you gonna wear a shirt that say human rights on it and then spray the people with a water hose in their tent? Look,
yeah, see, Scientologists don't like homeless people. They think they're dirty, degenerate beings. So that makes a lot of sense. Oh, yeah, because I blocked Elon. I'll just let you all soak this one in for a second. Okay, moving on. Oh, my goodness. Where is it? Da, 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 da. Oh, so good. Such a fucking incredible video. See that armband? That's a punching me is okay band. Yeah, my dad had he was a big wise, well, he's a wise guy. He's a big wise guy. He's a big wise proponent, but he uses wise a little too frequently. So he got in trouble because he was converting his. There was like a real-time conversion rate that he was trying to count for his FSM commissions. Basically, he was making money by converting his employees into Scientology by having them go take courses at the Church of Scientology in D.C. Which he got sued for by the Equal Employment and Opportunity Commission. My ex drawing porn on Instagram. My Grindr. Parents, please be careful with this Halloween. I found a chocolate bar running a copy of Doom inside it. Classic meme. Yo, I'm saying, like, I used to hate Twitter, and I still kind of hate Twitter, but it has its moments. If only people could go back and, like, retroactively experience all the fire heat I was dropping. One of these days. One day they'll know what I did. Where is the... Oh, I'm dumb. It's in my Google Drive. Cheesecake. Da-da-da. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Okay, let me see. Where is the Valentine lawsuit? Here we go. Open with Google Docs. All right. Tools. Let me zoom real quick. Let's do 150. All right. Yes, I use dark mode on literally everything because it's easier to read. Okay, so this is when my dad fired one of his employees because she wouldn't do a Scientology courses. He wouldn't do Scientology courses. Oh, Aaron just started his live stream? Let's go take a peek. Let's take a peek.
They give some details. We're not going to read every word of this thing.
Oh, hey, Aaron.
Okay, the last paragraph here. Clearwater police believe there may
I
be
would
other
text him, but
victims
his
and have
phone is
asked members of the
definitely
public
off,
to contact them
on Do
for
Not Disturb
additional
right now.
info. Okay, so update to like 3 or 4 days ago. So March 14th. What is today, guys? It's the 19th. I know I grew up in a cult, but even I know that that was 5 days ago. Largo woman
Two more
accused of
Scientologists arrested for fraud and grand theft.
New charges. Okay, so the police's request for additional information were successful.
This is pretty part of the course for for Scientology these days. You get a lot of. I even remember David Miscavige's sister was arrested for being in a drug den. David Miscavige's sister. It would be cool if you all could raid each other like on Twitch. Yeah, I mean, like, exposure is necessary. A lot of people don't understand how much of a problem this is for a lot of people and for us. But a lot of people are also scared. They think that Scientology is like this like evil terrifying cult. Like, well, they know it's a cult, Or they think it's some evil, terrifying group that's going to like harass and attack them and get them fired from their job or something, or slow them down. They're just trolls. That's all they do, is they just pester and whine and complain and give empty threats and like they want to scare you, and that's their whole thing. So you know, I could see this happening if there was a lot of people talking about the situation, like they did with Nexium, or you know, Nexium had a very short half-life, you know, especially when Keith was physically arrested. Now, if David Miscavige got arrested, I can tell you just about everyone would come out of the woodwork to start talking about it. But David's a little too paranoid, I think, to be put in handcuffs. I think it's possible. I think anything's possible. I think he could definitely get arrested. But he's too squirrely. He's too terrified. He's so much of a baby to like actually like confront the allegations that he's had against him. So I think it's just more likely that he's gonna ignore all allegations. This is David Miscavige's sister, and I know because I saw her dozens of times at Flag. I was actually his David Miscavige's niece, Tara Baker, was my supervisor. This is her mom. The twin sister of Scientology leader David Miscavige is fighting drug possession charges after she was arrested earlier this year when police. Now this is back in 2013, so this is right when she looks exactly. It sucks that like she got his look. She's also like an aggressive smoker, so she kind of sounds like this. But she looks just like him, sadly. So that's just a little bit of a goof. There is that she got his look and not the other way around. Like she didn't have like she just came out the gate looking like David Miscavige with his bulky ass head looking ass. But you can see that. You can see that here. It kind of just looks like David put a wig on and like maybe went out in the sun for a little bit too long, you know? Possession charges after she was arrested earlier this year. Police allegedly found with 9 marijuana-filled blunts in her SUV. Well, only 9? It's rookie numbers. Gotta get those numbers up. It is also claimed that Denise Gentile, I think that's her name, knowingly allowed a rental property she owned in St. Petersburg, Florida, to be used as a drug den and allowed one of her tenants to pay his utility bills by giving her drugs. Interesting that David Miscavige's sister was able to operate a drug den, facilitate a drug den, and then still be cleared for flag, still be flag approved. It's very interesting. Very interesting. What do y'all think about that? Oh, and when she was driving, she was blitzed. She registered a 0.11 to 0.12% blood alcohol content. She was sipping. She was sipping that. Whatever she was sipping. I thought it felt. It felt like it was going to come up a little bit more naturally, but it sadly did not. Miscavige has declined to comment. Yeah, obviously he's declined to comment. They live in a $335,000 home in nearby Clearwater, about 3.5 miles from the Church of Scientology's worldwide spiritual headquarters. Well, that's not good. I mean, but that's different, yeah. Literally. I mean, it's not sexual assault, which is much easier to just glide right over for them because, you know, you if you don't write it down, then you don't have to report it. But Doesn't matter if you cover up sexual assault of a minor. Many people who are now adults are coming out against Scientology and talking about the sexual abuse that they endured whilst in the church by staff members, by people who are now prominent staff members. I just tweeted about this one dude, this one piece of human dog shit. Dan O'Connor, who used to violate his sister's friends while they were sleeping, and who abused two minors that we know of, being held up as this. I've definitely seen this dude before at Flag, but he is. This is what a predator looks like. I mean, he's a predator. He's a sociopath. You know, this guy is a human piece of shit. So the hypocrisy is really aggressive. Oof. I have some Sea Org, authoritative totalism. Your equations are correct. I got some good shit on here. I got some more TikToks that I haven't reviewed. Should we just review some TikToks? Make a solid clip, to be honest. Here, let me be right back. Please don't play right away. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay. All right. Let's see, what do I got? Ooh, I got some. Okay. How about we do... How about we do a little TikTok review, huh? We'll do a little live TikTok review. That might not be too bad. And it would be great if you had a guest on regarding fascism. I agree. I would feel a little nervous because I don't know how to properly accommodate guests, because I would just if I support someone, I'd prefer them to have the platform. I thought about doing that on TikTok, but then again, I really don't like how TikTok has kind of evolved and how it and I barely even post on there these days. Usually I'll just use my TikTok to like repost to people whose messages I appreciate and kind of use my platform for something, a little bit more productive. Because I don't want to be like, hey guys, let me make this person's message about me. But yeah. Did I go for snacks? No, I had to use the bathroom. Aaron did a video on Dan O'Connor about a week ago. I did not miss that. It was very, very interesting. All right. What we got here? Ooh. I don't know how many of y'all saw my other TikTok reviews, but I have more from Michaela Arrington.
Stop committing to.
There were more than I let on. It was just so hard. She just gives so much. She gives me so much of a reason to correct her. Here's another one.
Holy.
I don't even remember if this is one of them that I reviewed on my... Oh, no, you know what happened? I deleted... There was a big section of the TikTok review that I deleted because I made a mistake in my editing process, so I thought the footage was corrupted, and it wasn't. But I had already, by the time I figured that out, I had already deleted like a huge chunk of this content. So it was it was not too great. He was America's youngest Eagle Scout. Why are you being so British today? I don't know. It's a very silly accent, so sometimes I like to, You think they get home and just like drop the accent? They're finally like, oh, finally I can stop talking like a fucking weirdo. Ugh, they're not gonna like that.
Don't waste your money on.
Get your purpose. Get your purpose right.
All eyes.
Okay. We're we're gonna do a little bit. Okay. We're gonna do a very a little eensy weensy tiny little bit of the TikTok reviewing. because I have not gotten a new batch yet. Did your parents got divorced? No. Are you kidding me? You paying attention? Wake up. Wake up. All right. This is a girl I found on TikTok who is like very, very obviously a Scientologist. Okay. Okay, now just the audio makes it worse, so I'm just gonna play it all. All right, so she says, Grant Cardone is the man. He's the one that introduced me to the best spiritual asset I have ever had in my life. All of this materialistic and stuff is a complete distraction from a better you. Let's make 2023 the year of spiritual and religious expansion and growth. Don't you want to be better and feel like yourself? Get your purpose and get your life straight. 10x. 10x.
Don't waste your money on watches and cars and Brioni suits, okay? It's ridiculous. You guys that are buying $1,200 shoes, don't waste your money on watches and cars and Brioni suits, okay? It's ridiculous. You guys that are buying $1,200 shoes,
the amount of times I've seen Grant Cardone flex his private jet and his watches and his cars and is mind-boggling and makes that so much more frustrating. This one's a little bit more like, listen, sis, you need some help. We can help you. This one's scary.
Me. Horrified looks from everyone in the room. All eyes.
Telling everyone that you're leaving a stable job to move across country from LA to Florida after knowing a guy for less than 2 months because you know he's the one. Let's all say a prayer for our for our girl here who has definitely lost the plot and been entrapped by a cult. This is also, I feel like this is human trafficking. This has to be some kind of human trafficking because I swear, fucking this girl dated a Scientologist. And after knowing him for less than 2 months, became infatuated with him, quit her job, moved to Clearwater, and now does Scientology.
On me. Horrified looks
And P.S. we just got married. Ooh.
from everyone in the room. All
Say a prayer. Say a prayer for your girl. I'll just let that one sink in a little bit. I'll let that one sink in. Oh no, I was having a good day until I heard Grant Cardone's name. This girl's tragic. Yeah. This next one is very easy, but I'll just play it.
He was the nation's youngest Eagle Scout at the age of 13, and twice journeyed to Asia before the advent of commercial flight. He attended America's first class on nuclear physics and was a pioneer at the dawn of American aviation. He led expeditions into then remote islands as a member of the famed Explorers Club and was a giant in the golden age of pulp fiction. He was a master mariner, licensed to captain vessels on any ocean.
I'll cover
States
each
naval
one.
officer who commanded corvettes during World War II. His landmark work on the human mind rode bestseller lists for 100 consecutive weeks. And
Yeah, sure.
he's the most published and translated author of all.
Okay. So let's go back to the beginning. This is from the info panels. This is from like the informational propaganda that they have about L. Ron Hubbard. Most of this is a lie. So
he was the nation's youngest Eagle Scout
they say he
at
was
the age of 13.
at the age of 13. They say he's the America's youngest Eagle Scout. The Eagle Scouts were the Boy Scouts were actually asked if he was the America's youngest Eagle Scout. And funny enough, they didn't record who was the oldest and who was the youngest. There wasn't a competition back then. They actually didn't keep track of that. So this is just like a very unique lie. I don't know. I think he probably just said it around a coffee table at one point to get views. But yeah.
And twice journeyed to Asia before the advent of commercial flight.
He took a boat twice, is what that means.
He attended America's first class on nuclear physics and was a pioneer.
He flunked that class, and he flunked out of George Washington University also. So just to mention that.
Here at the dawn of American aviation.
The dawn of American aviation, I wouldn't really call it that, but he was a rich kid with a plane. Or he had access to a plane. You know, planes cost what? Like $9 back then?
He led expeditions into then remote islands as a member of the famed Explorers Club.
He went on a couple backpacking trips down south.
And was a giant in the golden age of pulp fiction.
A lot of people wrote shitty science fiction back then.
He was a master mariner, licensed to captain vessels on any ocean.
I don't know what license you need. I didn't know you needed more than one license. He had all 7 sea licenses. For all the 7 seas, he had all the licenses. You know, if you have because if you're caught without a license to sail the boat in the wrong sea, you're fucked. I'm sorry. The water cops were gonna come get you back then.
And the United States naval officer who commanded corvettes during World War II.
There's a lot of debate as to his war history, because he lied about a lot of his war history, and even the Department of Defense released a statement that was very contrary. Released his history that was very contrary to what Hubbard himself said was what happened. So it's kind of hard to take his word for it, especially this random announcer guy. Never heard much about Hubbard's parents. I assume they must have been rich as fuck to spoil their little prince. They gave him some opportunities, that's for sure.
His landmark work on the human mind rode bestseller lists for 100 consecutive weeks.
And was rejected by almost every, actual institute of science to exist. He was laughed at, rejected by the American Psychiatric Association, the American Medical Association, because of how few pieces of evidence he had to substantiate his claims.
And he's the most published and translated author of all time.
Homie never wrote a second draft of anything. A lot of his published work are individual references that he wrote for Scientology. So it's not like he wrote 1,000 books. He wrote a whole... He would write a new policy, and then it would be pseudo-published as its own written work. So he holds a record. I think honestly, someone should make it an effort, make it a goal to remove his record of, or not to even remove, but to supersede his record of written works. I think that'd be pretty funny.
He is L. Ron Hubbard.
He is L. Ron Hubbard
of Scientology.
He died, and he died with jet fuel in his veins. All right, we're gonna do this one first because we're gonna hurt her last. The music, the voice, yeah, they love to pretend that it's they love to pretend that it's like documentarian, like they have like the deep voice guy who does it for everything. I've heard him do other work, and I'm always like, oh, that guy's a Scientologist. But they just put it all together, stock photos. Sometimes they'll record background stuff just for him. There's actually a guy who they use the back of his head, and they film the back of his head because the back of his head looks like LRH when he was younger. And I think that's just so pathetic. Want to hear about Hubbard dodging taxes in 1969, the FBI in the U.S.? We can look at that. I got a little bit of time. So this, I know so many of these people. The woman right here, this woman.
New York is composed
this woman right here, her name is Kara Schumacher. She is now, you know how much Scientologists love their acronyms. This one's a doozy. All right, you ready? She is the DFCCIPO for OOTs. I think I have that written down somewhere, what that means. She is the Deputy Flag Case and Course and Internship Product Officer for Outer Org Trainees. So, and she is a massive cunt. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I did, so whoops. She is not a good person. She is actually Ron's Journal 1967. Ron's Journal, actually. That's a good point. We're going to get through these last two real quick. So I know all the people basically in this little clip. This woman right here, though, is horrible. Horrible. Ugh. Even the people who were under her thought so.
Now, the Sea Org is composed of the most dedicated Scientologists.
That's the president of Flag. She works almost directly with my father when he comes into town with Dr. Berg.
And this dedication, I would say, stems from, finding something that really helps you and realizing that you can help another. And I mean, truly, truly help another and help them lead a better life, help them be happier, and help them feel more spiritually well.
It's almost like something about buzzwords, something about saying help so many times until you get the idea. Maybe Flag helps people.
We can't get enough of it. I can't personally get enough of it. Just helping other people.
How? How, might I ask, are you helping people? Mrs. President? Or Mr. President, because when you're in the Sea Org, you're called Sir, and you're called Mr. That's actually a specific thing. So, Mr. President, how exactly are you helping people? How are you helping me? And how are you helping Nerman here in the chat? How do you help him? That's what I want to know. How are you helping the OSA rep watching this? By using the word help one too many times? Good Lord. All right, we're back to Michaela. This one I feel a little is a little insulting because she uses Brittany. I'll just show you. So it says, "Wow, thank you for educating me on a religion you've never opened a book on. Now tell me now let me tell you a thing or two on Hinduism."
Shit, fuck balls. Whoa, girl, fuck. Wow. Oh my god.
So
holy shit, fuck balls. Whoa, girl, fuck.
So sassy. First of all, so incredibly sassy. How absolutely dare you invoke Brittany in this? Because Brittany has nothing to do with your cult. Brittany does not she would not support you in your ventures. Also, she does mention in the past that like Scientology is a lot like Buddhism and Hinduism. But then now is here sort of admitting that she's never opened a book on that. She also hasn't opened many books on Scientology. I just thought that was funny. All right. I think I'm losing y'all to Aaron, which was to be expected, honestly. What can I say? He corners the market somewhat easily. He had a bit of a head start. All right, let's listen to, oh, this is 40 minutes. We're not going to listen to all of this. This is his audio journal.
Ground. And this is a tape of 20 September 1967, made on an island in the sea. And it is addressed to all staff and students of Scientology.
Thank you, PK. Oh my gosh, for saying can't understand normal thinking, calling it like you see it. I appreciate it. Just for funsies. Thank you, Broken Dishes. Just for funsies, I was watching an SPTV channel the other day with closed captions on Elron as L1. L1 Hubbard. And the Sea Organization. He's the Commodore. The Commodore of this of the flagship of the flagship service organization. I lost it, but grumpy fashion. This man would put a jean jacket on just to get the mail, let me tell you.
The organizations. The background noise that you hear is not in actual fact.
It is a beret.
Tape noise. It is the wind howling up a cliff and hitting over the area where I am sitting. Out before me here is the wide blue sea with ships passing by, a few fleecy clouds overhead, and the bright sun shining down. I am giving you this short talk because you might have wondered what I was doing. Rumor lines are not very reliable, to say the least.
When your mom texts you how you've been and you really just don't want to talk to her, so you just be like, the weather has been good over here, and sometimes I see people excuse me. Sometimes I see people grocery shopping outside.
And in a world which is as wide as this one, are not likely to even approach truth. I do not like to create a mystery with regard to our activities. You have heard mention of the Sea Org, the Sea Organization, and you are likely to hear other mentions of it as time goes on. This is in reality just another Scientology organization, with the difference that it handles extremely advanced work and materials, and its personnel are OTs. Its mission is to bring clears through the upper levels safely and certainly and with speed, and it also has the mission of getting in ethics. On Earth, it would be quite impossible to bring in a totality of Scientology technology without first bringing in ethics.
I tend to just disassociate a little bit when he starts droning on.
Must carry on a line of defense, and that I must accelerate the technology advance and wrap up the entire subject in a very short time. I have probably done something on the order of a century of research in the very few years since 1963, and can advise you now that I have completed any and all of the technology required from WOG 2OT.
So, not only does he have to finish it, but he's also finished it, because he's done a century's worth of research in less than a century, which doesn't, to me, sound like a century's worth of research, but it sounds like a really great way to be like, to like pad the essay word count and like be like, well, to you it might have seemed like I was not doing a lot of work because I'm not very old, but I've actually been working. My work is so good that you could consider it like 10 times the time was taken to do this work than was actually taken to do, because I'm just that good. This is, I mean, it's Grant Cardone 10X thinking, to be honest.
The FDA raid.
It's basically just where he talks about this. This is what the Sea Org is. So people were like, are people joining a cult? Are people becoming like, is Scientology becoming a cult? And he's like, no, it's just that I need helpers to do everything I ask so that I can get my work finished. Sadly, he never did get his work finished. So Sea Org seems a little bit of a leap from that.
Thanks to the able actions of the Washington organization and the defense which I arranged and other things, eventually came to nothing. It was heard sometime earlier this year, and at this time I have yet to hear of any finding being handed down or any further action taken. There have been in the United States several income tax attacks on Washington, D.C., on myself, and on the nonprofit status of the organizations there.
I wonder
and
why.
I wish to advise you that all this has been delayed now and you might say put in mothballs by the government pending some sort of activity. There was an income tax attack on myself earlier this year and last year, and from the United States, and both of these actions were won by ourselves, which more or less removed any danger from the Washington organization since the government was using it. There have been several parliamentary attacks upon us.
Very interesting.
And the state of these attacks is very interesting. Only one...
This dude in the comments named COVID-19, Rothschild, J.P. Morgan, the Vatican, Washington, D.C., etc. Buy silver. Go OT. Oh my God. What didn't you understand?
Parliament, that of Victoria in Australia, ever took any action of any kind, and all other parliaments.
This is boring. Yeah, because L. Ron Hubbard's very boring. You don't want to listen to L. Ron Hubbard for 45 minutes. If you want, it's just Ron's Journal 67 on YouTube, describing 12 men suppressing mankind and Scientology. This is just the same shit that he's been talking about forever. But he also it's just very boring. I'm just like falling asleep just listening to him, honestly. It's just like, I don't know about you, but I was raised listening to this man talk for hours and hours and hours and hours because there is so many hours of him talking recorded. I was punished by listening to things like the State of Man Congress. So nothing he says has really any value. You can really just discern that he is a manipulative cult leader who talked his way out of almost everything through the buffer of more sane people than himself, who he lured in and romanticized into talking for him. So we're not going to do that. I don't really give a shit about L. Ron Hubbard. This is a lot of this is that guy again. Okay. Yeah. I have a few more projects that I'm working on, but other than that, I think that's all I'm going to do for today. I don't really have anything else to cover today, unless there's something you wanted me to specifically cover. I'm just not going to watch a 47-minute a 47-minute video of L. Ron Hubbard babbling about nothing. It's hard to say if there's a delay here, but I doubt it. It's just not important to listen to him because, like, what people want is, like, to know what it's like to be a Scientologist without actually doing all the Scientology stuff. But you don't need to listen to L. Ron Hubbard to find out. You could probably cut some clips together. I'm sure if you gave me a handful of the lectures, I could take apart probably the most bizarre aspects and put a compilation and together. But it's not really. I would probably never do another Scientology video after that, to be honest. But yeah, you don't really need to listen to him or the most important things are what the cult is doing now on behalf of him, because yeah. Also, if y'all, here we go. Let's see. What you can do for me that's adorable. What you can do for me is call this number down here. This is 703-354-7336. That's Dr. Berg's office number. And you can ask him about Scientology. You can ask, you can speak to any one of their let's see, who do they have? Oh, the product manager, the customer service manager, the product advisor. She'd love to help you with Scientology. Actually, this customer service person, her name is Heather. If you ask to talk to Heather, she is actually she is a Scientologist. She's offline at the moment, but apparently you can send her an email. You can send her a voicemail. Ask them about Scientology, and they'll tell you all you need to know, or they'll block your number, and they'll never talk to you again. Heather's actually a really nice, well, nice is relative, but she actually got brain damage from falling and hurting herself, and Dr. Berg, instead of helping her with her, the multimillionaire that she worked for, he doesn't even pay her overtime. He I have a whole video that I'm working on for that, but yeah, he threw her a couple dollars and was like, get back to work. So she's back working with like $100,000 in like brain surgery bills. But they're just going to use Scientology to fix that. No need to actually help her with that. You don't have to call them right now, but during normal business hours, I think would probably work. All right, that's all I got to say. Hasta la pasta, y'all. Thanks for coming.